What happens when we exercise free will? What's going on, everyone? I'm Thomas, and welcome to my channel. Mostly an educational channel, uh, focused on a lot of different subjects that I find very interesting and enriching, and things that will make you have a better life because you'll be more healthy and you will be, probably um, less stressed out because you kind of are able to determine the truth for yourself instead of having it fed to you through various methods, one of which is this thing here called the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is an ancient model that goes all the way back to ancient Egypt and certainly before that, Atlantis or whoever, wherever. But that's neither here nor there. I guess the ancient Hebrews used it and called it the Kabbalah. They all have slightly different interpretations. Everybody's different. Everybody can approach it differently, and that's why I love it. One of the reasons I love it is that it's a non-dogmatic kind of thing. It's just a bunch of numbers and a configuration, a geometry, and once you kind of learn how to operate it, you can plug your own experiences into it, and you can determine your own, ethics and morality through the Tree of Life. Also, it's something that a lot of very evil people use, and being able to understand how it works will help you defend yourself against those people, and then maybe even be able to mount an offensive, which of course would be, maybe nonviolent, make a contribution to our society, as opposed to the people that, are notorious for using this to destroy our society. Okay, so the Tree of Life has 10 different circles or spheres. Here, number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then there's an abyss here, which is an implied sphere. And then there's a 0 above the tree. These all correspond to our various faculties of consciousness. For example, we have the 10th sphere as our animal consciousness, our wild animal, in the jungle, the law of the jungle. And this is our survival instinct, our fight or flight response, and, the general health of our body. And then the 9th sphere is our faculty of, our domestic faculty, which is what we're using in the early years of our life as we're growing up in the home, where we're super receptive, like a sponge, and we are paying close attention to our caregivers and our other environmental influences in the home. We watch our caregivers, we memorize what they do, and then we learn to imitate what they do. And therefore, things are transferred almost seamlessly from one generation to another. And then in the 8th sphere, that's similar, but it's, instead of being in the domestic sphere, this is really like the real world. So this is where we have the consensus worldview, the conventional wisdom, the expert opinion, and these are all our authorities and our institutions that are out there telling us what we're supposed to believe, how things work, and what's okay to do and what's not okay to do, and how we should believe. And then, to the extent that we learn their system and how to fit into it, how to believe those things and how to justify them and rationalize them, we can find ourselves, as members of this eighth sphere. I guess junior members, but members as experts ourselves. If we go through all the proper training, go through all the proper channels, and just don't really disagree with anything, we will, eventually, if we strive for it, find ourselves here as one of them. Okay. Now, some people get into this and then they realize what they've done, and some people don't even need to get into it to realize that the eighth sphere is not all it's cracked up to be, and that there's a lot of fallacy in the eighth sphere, a lot of half-truths, a lot of mistruths, and a lot of just propaganda, and so those people who recognize that, they can move over here to the seventh sphere, where the eighth sphere is about the real world, the seventh sphere is about the imaginary world. So this is for people who maybe get in here and imagine something better. Wow, that would work a lot better if this, or if they did this, then that would then it would make sense. So they come over here and they use the qualities of the seventh sphere, the faculties of the seventh sphere, such as the imagination, the intuition, the inspiration, the pleasure principle, and the creative spark, and they attempt to come up with alternatives to what's in the eighth sphere. In particular, pieces of art, whether that's a painting or a song, or a play, and also inventions, an invention, a machine that, improves upon what's going on here. And then the seventh sphere is also our wedge to get up into the higher aspects of the tree, starting with the sixth sphere. This is, we get inspired here at the seventh sphere, and it gives us kind of the impetus to 1% to then exert the 99% that we need in order to climb up the tree to the higher aspects, to the more spiritual aspects of our lives. And the sixth sphere is the beginning of that. Even though we're really already here, this is where we're kind of located. You are here, but you tend to be at the bottom here because this is really our free will faculty. And free will, as we'll talk about today, is our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. And unfortunately, when we find ourselves here, we find ourselves paying our attention to the lower parts of the tree, to our conditionings, our habits, our attachments. So we're here, but we're paying attention to down here. So the aspect of free will, of the making decisions, is what we have to do to start with. We have to make the decision to avert our attention to these lower aspects and to move our attention up into the higher aspects, which is a difficult thing to do because it requires courage, because it's very comfortable to tune into these things. We've grown up with these things. We've known them most of our lives. And so it's old hat. It's very, very easy and comfortable to tune into this. But once we turn around here, we find ourselves somewhat alone and kind of staring into a void, because these areas aren't really well developed in our lives yet. They have the potential to be, but they aren't really yet. And so we kind of have to do everything on the fly now, because we're really attempting to open these things up at the same time as we exert ourselves to focus on them. So it's a tall order here at the sixth sphere, and to really embrace these things at the sixth sphere is a fairly rare accomplishment so far in our society. Now, I believe that with this great awakening, we're really upgrading ourselves from being mostly focused here up to being mostly focused here. So this is the area the territory that we need to take with this great awakening, and this is what I believe more and more people are doing now. So maybe some pathways will be broken here, and we'll be able to, kind of like a 100th monkey thing, and we'll be able to access these areas with a lot more ease in the future. But right now, it's a pretty lonely and difficult path. Now, once we do turn ourselves around, the first thing that we're paying attention to here is the fifth sphere, which is our sense of justice. This is our sense of natural law. They work together, 5 and 4. 5, sense of justice, sense of natural law. The natural law is really like how everything works in reality, or at least according to our best, observations, investigations, experiments, experiences. We tune into that over the course of generations, and people come up with cosmologies, holy books, theories of everything that attempt to explain how everything actually is. And then these laws that are universal laws and that are permanent, they are enforced here at the fifth sphere. So the fifth sphere is really like our karma. This is our what comes around goes around. As you sow, so shall you reap. And you can think of a mirror being right here. What we do is shot back to us, and that way it's feedback, and so we can learn what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. And then also, the karma is what's paying attention, is calibrated according to waste and violence. So when we engage in this process of feedback, we can learn to eliminate the waste and violence from our behavior. Okay, and then the fourth sphere is also related to our universal language, such as telepathy, body language, but many other languages that you don't have to learn, that are innate. And then also to universal love, our ability to give, seeking nothing in return, and to love our enemies. And so that is our fourth sphere faculty, the universals. And then the abyss right here is our psychic powers. This is our ability to tune into and recognize omens, and then to be able to act upon those omens. That's two different parts: psychic receptivity and then psychic heat. And again, this is the omens, the coincidences, the synchronicities in our lives are messages for us. We need to be able to learn how to pick up on those messages, and then also have the courage to act upon them. And that is the difficult part. They're both difficult, but it's difficult to act upon them because it requires us to kind of put ourselves out there, to expose ourselves. So we really have to be able to believe in the power of the synchronicities. And then the 3, 2, and 1 are our divine aspects within us. Omnipotence, all-powerful, we go tap into through mantra and other sound synchronization practices. And then where this is mostly about sound, and this is mostly about light. So the second sphere is where this is omnipotence, this is omniscience, all-knowing, or wisdom. And that wisdom is really penetrated through being able to keep the mind away from all the thinking. We have thoughts, but we don't have to cling on to those thoughts and then expand on them, turn them into little stories and little just content, whether we like or dislike that, or how it feels. Just stay on the sensation level of our thinking and our five senses, and be able to continue to pay attention and to go deeper and deeper into our attention. And that enables us to open up to wisdom. Then the first sphere is also part of the divine triangle here, and this is our omnipresence, all present, all at once, eternally. And this is really our unifying factor, where this is like the ether. It underlies everything, and so at the center of everything is this one, and that's identical. So what's at the center of you is what's at the center of me, and that unifies us all. And then the zero sphere is really what the Creator reserves for itself. It's a total mystery, and it is a nothingness. So those are kind of two aspects. It's also an inner peace, where I guess the whole universe is made out of motion. This is, what underlies that. Okay, so now in addition to that, I've, in addition to those 12 different faculties of consciousness, I've also worked out a system with another level of definition, by taking the whole tree and shrinking it down and then applying it to each one of the spheres. So the first sphere has 12 faculties, and the third sphere has 12 faculties, and so on, for a total of 144 like mini faculties, or fractal faculties, which I refer to as the stages of life. So that's 144 different stages. Those are dramatic stages that we go through in life. And I've written those up in a list that's annotated. And if you'd like me to send you a free copy of that, just click the link in the description, and I will get that out to you. So now, out of those 144 fractal faculties, I'm trying to deliver one new video per day or so that features one of the 144. So today we're looking at number 60. And number 60 here is it's an interesting number, because it's actually 60. It's actually the 0 fractal of the 6th sphere. So that is where it's located. The 6th sphere is about our free will faculty, our ability to pay attention and make decisions. And then the 0 sphere is the mystery within, and also the inner peace and nothingness. And so it's a mini 0 sphere within that 6th sphere. So the question was, what happens when we exercise free will? So this one, number 60, is called Pay to Make Free. Stage number 60 is about how free will, our human essence, boils down to paying attention and making decisions, and how doing so will put us at odds with the prevailing winds of society. Free will requires us to turn around our attention and steadfastly face our fears, the unknown. Attention as a filter of awareness, conscious awareness. Pay attention, make decisions. That's what we do. But attention is fleeting, and it's impossible to keep it steady without a lot of training. I am awareness. I choose, I make the decision to pay attention. And what direction to pay attention to? That is free will. We are inspiring to others as we climb the mountain of freedom. Once we reach the top, though, we get the shaft and will no longer be supported by the consensus, by the organized society. They will shun us and give us the shaft from the top of the mountain to the base of the valley, from the apex of the octahedron to the nadir. So it will be uphill on both sides of 6. Get ready to keep climbing after we get shafted. Though we're beginning to tire, we need to pick up the pace. We started our spiritual path without much resistance, but now our retreat is about over. The frantic, breathless, seething, apoplectic gatekeepers of the consensus will now see us as a threat to their unfreedom. We'll be excommunicated. We'll go missing. We may hear that we're a moron, that we are going through a phase, that we've gone batty or are a lone nutter. Or are we just following reality where it leads us? Sacrificial lambs must graze against the grain. We're excommunicated and ejected, but roll with it, because now we can choose more intuitively, to more intuitively live according to divine laws, even as the bottom drops out of our so-called lives. That's okay, because we are figuring out so many things as we are turned around now, paying attention to our spiritual aspects as they develop. It is less comfortable than when we paid attention only to our lower aspects, our conditionings, belief systems, likes and dislikes, addictions and attachments, but so much more rewarding as it is so much more real. Free will is required to dominate all of these lower aspects. Use our training. Our deep foray into ethics is now tuned in. Now that we are tuned in and turned around, we no longer need religion to protect us, to dictate to us. We can deal with the Creator directly, with no intermediary. We take responsibility for our beliefs, even on difficult questions. If we're over the target, as we get more and more adept, we'll get more and more obscure, inaccessible and censored, shamed and smeared, and shafted down to the bottom, underground. If we are subject to laws, then it follows that total freedom is a phony fallacy. Free will is not free. We must pay attention and we must make decisions. Okay, that is number 60, pay to make free, the zero fractal of the 6th sphere. And just one quick thing to mention here is that you can see, if you're looking at the tree, we're talking about the octahedron. The octahedron is right here. See, these 4 are, the octahedron is a double pyramid. So a pyramid is a half octahedron. So that's kind of what we're looking at. This is the base of the pyramid, and then this is the apex of the pyramid. So in order to get from here to here, we got to go uphill. But then when we get here, which is where we are right here, when we get to the top of the pyramid, we recognize eventually that this is actually an octahedron. It's not a half octahedron. It's a full octahedron. So there is also, in addition to this apex, there's a bottom here. There's also in the middle, there's a negative, so this is kind of like sticking up like this, but then there's a below half of this pyramid. And so once we get here, we find that we end up taking this elevator shaft and we end up down at the bottom. It's like Bob Dylan's song Idiot Wind, where he says once you find out that once you reach the top, you're on the bottom. And so that's where you are. And so in order to get here, so when you go from 7 to 6, you got to climb. But then you think you've reached the top, but then you get shafted and you're on the bottom again. And so you have to climb again to get from 6 to 5. So that's why that path there from 7 to 5 is so difficult. Now, in the Egyptian, the 7 is called Het Heru. The 6 is called Heru, and the 5 is called Heru Kahudi. So they're all related. They're all related to Heru, which is, basically means hero. Het Heru means the house of Heru. And then Heru itself is the 6th sphere, and then Heru Kahudi means Heru of 2 horizons, meaning Heru from morning until dusk. So the whole day long you're Heru, and Heru free will requires us to pay attention and make decisions, and then also face our fears. So once you get to the 5th sphere, that's pretty much a full-time job. At the 6th sphere, it's kind of just like a one-shot deal or once in a while deal. But as you move up to the 5th sphere, then you have to be able to face your fears all the time. Okay, so that's it for today. Please press the like button, subscribe, share the video. You can donate through Cash App or Venmo if that's your thing, if you got something out of this. And stay tuned for future videos in this series and other series on my channel. Have a good day.